Our first inclination is always to say, can we save a building? And can we make it useful for our mission of having a world-class undergraduate on-campus living experience? For no amount of money could we ever turn Carmichael Towers into buildings that would accommodate that. So we got to the point where we just said, we really do need to take these buildings down. So by 2023, which just so happens to be the sesquicentennial or 150th anniversary of Vanderbilt, the entirety of West End Avenue will be transformed with 3 beautiful new residential colleges and take a part of the campus that frankly didn't really look or feel like the rest of Vanderbilt or project the sense of timelessness and quality that are really foundational to Vanderbilt, and they will be that.
This is an Immersion Vanderbilt project, which gives us a tremendous amount of flexibility in the way that we instruct our students. And this particular Florence Price project gives us the opportunity for our students to be the conductor, to be the arranger, to be the editor of this music, which is normally not an experience that they would get to have in an educational setting.
Good work. That's in good shape.
Florence Price was one of the leading African-American composers during the first half of the 20th century.
I'm very, very fortunate in that we have a wonderful team at the Peabody College of Education. They are just absolutely on top of everything. We love the partnership that we've been able to create with Blair.
No breath.
One of the things that this program helps with just gives them a little bit more time to kind of settle in, understand maybe a little bit bigger worldview of teaching and how that works, and then they get out into the classroom and they can do some real good.
Joe Toy steps into the 3, got it.
I wouldn't say like I'm calm on the court.
Toy for the jam!
I think I'm more turned up on the court than if you're just having a conversation with me. Everybody's so excited. They have big goals that they want to accomplish. I have big goals that I want to accomplish. That's mostly what I'm going to remember is just the time with my teammates. Perry has made such a big impact on Vanderbilt and really college basketball in general, so it's an honor.
Perry saw coming to Vanderbilt as a way to better himself, and I see a lot of that in Joe.
I chose Vanderbilt because the academic prestige, playing in the SEC, like you can't really get that anywhere else. I can use like my experience that I've had in past years to help guide them along this season. Just lead by example in terms of your effort. If you give your effort, then the results will come on the court.
Wolbachia was discovered 100 years ago inside the reproductive tissues of a few insects. Today, it exists in 40% of all insects and other arthropod species. It also has biomedical relevance because Wolbachia can inhibit the transmission of pathogenic viruses like Zika and dengue virus to humans.
Students start out by asking questions about their environment and their community, about what insects might be in their community, if they have Wolbachia, what the impact of Wolbachia might be on those insects.
We're going to be dissecting these bugs and extracting their DNA to see whether they have Wolbachia in them or not.
We want want to encourage international participation in discovery-based science. We want to enhance student interest in biodiversity and biotechnology. We want to expose students to real-world research in nature where they discover something new. And finally, and the most important, we want to give students a vision of what it's like to be a scientist.
I want to be able to express to other people that science is so much more than just what you see on a textbook and on TV. When you're taller than your preschool teacher, I don't think you have an option but to play basketball. I came to Vanderbilt because I knew that it would be an amazing place to live my full authentic life. I had no worries about being openly gay here at Vanderbilt.
Going to a university that champions for those who stand out, not those who blend in, is a great fit for Bree. Adolescence, that's where we see the greatest mental health decline, and then you add in an LGBTQ identity to that, and the mental health rates for things like suicidality and depression and anxiety just shoot way up. Me being a part of the community and thinking about my adolescence, I wanted to do something to help with that. They know they have a safe place where they're not going to be discriminated against by doctors, where they know that they're going to receive the health care necessary for their specific identities and their specific goals. I told every coach I ever talked to that I was openly gay, that I was going to advocate for the community, and that speaking out about issues for the LGBTQ community would be something that I would do. And it had to be not tolerated, it had to be accepted. The Vanderbilt community as a whole, they are more, they're accepting.
The type of firefighting that's involved in high-rise is so much more different than a regular house fire. It's a whole different animal.
We thought this was a fantastic opportunity for the fire department to use this asset of Vanderbilt's in a way that benefits both the fire department and, of course, the broader community.
Most departments our size do not get these type of opportunities across the nation. I can't stress enough. I mean, the real winners of this is the citizens and the visitors of this city. It's not just downtown Nashville, and it's not necessarily all the 40 and 50 and 60, 70-story buildings. It's also the 3, 4, and 5-story apartment buildings that's popping up all around the city. The techniques and skills that we're learning in there is just invaluable. Just better prepares us.
I can tell you the one thing I don't like, getting wet. I was actually terrified of the water. Like, water could not touch my face. Water was a no-go. I swim for something greater than my own. I swim for my teammates. I swim for Vanderbilt. The water I drank yesterday isn't going to keep me hydrated today. So that's the mentality I wake up with every day, and just see how I can push myself to be the best version of myself.
From upscale dining to casual dining, flavorful explosions to pure comfort food. The sweet, the savory, and the hot, Nashville has it all. But this city is also facing a major problem: food waste.
It's an art, it's a way of expression, but it's also used as a platform. Structuring something that you had in your mind and seeing it come to life is really cool too in the editing room. I just wake up every morning being thankful for the fact that I've been given the opportunity to be at such an amazing place and to be able to represent such an amazing school.
When we go out into the field, what we find is that there are loads of these organisms in little tiny populations, little small communities almost. We find where all of the bottom suture portions of these organisms are facing in a common orientation. They're all facing down in the rock. And so what we can infer from that is that they're actually in life position. And so when we looked at our fluid studies, what we saw is that when you aggregate communities of these organisms together, you actually increase the turbulence around the organisms, and you also direct fluid, which would have nutrients in the fluid, down into the body cavity of downstream organisms easily. It'd basically be on the bottom of the ocean, water's coming in, and it just gets lots of little eddies appearing inside the cavity of it, and then transported downstream with even more eddies. And so it's this inner area that likely is how or where sediment and nutrient particles and everything was getting concentrated and thus incorporated into the body of the organism. When we go out
Adaptive cruise control is a type of smart cruise control. It works just like your old cruise control does, except for that it has sensors so it can adjust its speed if the vehicle ahead of you slows down. One of the key features of these systems is that they are designed to be safe and comfortable for riders to ride in the vehicles. But our team is interested in how those cars impact traffic. Because humans create traffic jams and these technologies take over the driving tasks of the human, it's possible that they can make phantom traffic jams better or worse. So we basically put a vehicle in front of the adaptive cruise control vehicle, and it changes its speed. It drives fast, and then it drives slow, and then it drives fast and slow. We watch how the vehicle behind responds to those speed up and slow down events. A good adaptive cruise control system for traffic would be one that doesn't slow down any more than the vehicle ahead does, and it slows down gracefully. A bad, for traffic, adaptive cruise control system may take a little bit longer to realize the car ahead is slowing down, and as a consequence need to slow down more than the vehicle ahead. In our previous research, we designed a autonomous vehicle technology that's very similar to adaptive cruise control and demonstrated that even at very low penetration rates, it's possible for those vehicles to eliminate phantom traffic jams.
Number 14, Emily Matthewson.
It's a buy-in, and every single girl on the team wants to be here, and you want to play for each other. Like, you can only push yourself so far for yourself, but when you look next to you and the girl next to you is going just as hard, you'll give a little bit more just for her. It is an aggressive sport, but we're a tough team. So I'll be having practice from 1 to 5, and then I've got Orgo Lab from 6 to 10. So I'm like taking off my lax goggles and putting on my lab goggles.
Yeah, doors!
It's a long season. People would come in and be like, oh, I had a bad test, or oh, we're gonna have really hard lift. And I was like, we need a change of perspective.
We are so excited to meet you.
Shall we go? Our team's embraced her. So she right now is receiving chemo. So we go hang out with her, and if she's sleeping, just hanging out with her siblings and her mom. They needed support. She's a rock. She is the strongest girl I've ever met. Happy birthday, dear Bella. I got to go to her birthday party a couple weeks ago. It was really special. So we have a locker for her, we have a name tag for her. It gives us a different perspective on life. We all push ourselves to the max, and just seeing her locker and her name kind of lets us take a step back and realize we're good. We have this awesome teammate that we need to give our all for.
Our first inclination is always to say, can we save a building and can we make it useful for our mission of having a world-class undergraduate on-campus living experience? For no amount of money could we ever turn Carmichael Towers into buildings that would accommodate that. So we got to the point where we just said, we really do need to take these buildings down. So by 2023, which just so happens to be the sesquicentennial or 150th anniversary of Vanderbilt, the entirety of West End Avenue will be transformed with 3 beautiful new residential colleges and take a part of the campus that frankly didn't really look or feel like the rest of Vanderbilt or project the sense of timelessness and quality that are really foundational to Vanderbilt, and they will be that.
One of the really interesting things in drug addicts is that what you often see is them choosing to take drug either at the expense of something else in the environment or in the face of negative consequences. And so that's something we try to model with our subjects. And what we do is we actually give them drug and we say, how hard are you willing to work for this? Or how much are you willing to pay to get this drug? And what we were finding is that in our female subjects, when they were in the presence of these environmental cues that were associated with the drug-taking experience, they were willing to pay twice as much as their male counterparts. The biological base.
People think about their ancestors constantly, and there's this connection to the land and the remains we're excavating, and they want to know more about how people were living their lives. And there's sort of this vacuum right now in bioarchaeology in the Inca heartland. There's no one really working on questions surrounding human experience and how that might have been like inscribed on people's skeletal bodies. With National Geographic, their goals for kind of talking about the evolution of human experience very much aligned with my own. I feel like as a scholar and as a researcher, I have grown immensely. I love this. This is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life.
The type of firefighting that's involved in high-rise is so much more different than a regular house fire. It's a whole different animal.
Thought this was a fantastic opportunity for the fire department to use this asset of Vanderbilt's in a way that benefits both the fire department and, of course, the broader community.
Most departments our size do not get these type of opportunities across the nation. I can't stress enough. I mean, the real winners of this is the citizens and the visitors of this city. It's not just downtown Nashville. And it's not necessarily all the 40 and 50 and 60, 70-story buildings. It's also the 3, 4, and 5-story apartment buildings that's popping up all around the city. The techniques and skills that we're learning in there is just invaluable. It just better prepares us.
On the field, I really thrive off of knowing that I can win. A lot of it comes from my teammates. This season we've been playing for each other. Each game we'll choose a person to play for. We write on our wrist the person that we're playing for. So it's kind of like a motivation to just work so hard for that person. Pick your head up, do what you need to do to make it cleaner.
Put them in the dirt.
Go to goal.
Say it again, man, and that's a reverse.
Keep working.
Never rehearse.
Everyone on the team is so special to me, and I've had so much fun this season getting to host a game for the NCAA tournament and winning the SEC regular season. It's so cool being able to see that all of that hard work has finally paid off. I'm really interested in people, and I'm really interested in the healthcare environment and how people have access to healthcare. I loved all the people that I met. I would love to maybe have my own nonprofit, just being able to help people and love people every single day.
Individuals with transfemoral amputation or amputation above the knee are 200 times more likely to fall than their age-matched healthy counterpart.
First, we have to understand how the human body recovers from a stumble, and to do that, we have to cover people in sensors and trip them over and over again.
The idea behind this study is to embed those kind of reflexes into prosthetic legs with the intent that those reflexes, if an amputee has them, will reduce the likelihood of falling.
Who's that?
This project is called a bow tie photonic crystal. It's a new structure that allows us to squeeze light into very, very small volumes, which gives us very high energy. The size of the light, and the structures that we made were about 10,000 times smaller than the thickness of your hair. If you can think of the size of a dust particle, it's actually really large. It would completely obscure our bow tie structure. Ironically, all we needed was a college physics textbook. All the equations have been known for centuries. If we apply these equations in a certain way and structure our materials in the nanoscale, very, very tiny way, but strategically, we could have this really strong focusing of light. What we think is going to happen in the future, you'll have light inside of your computers in addition to electricity. Your future computers, your future laptops, cell phones can operate faster, you can have less power requirement, and you won't have so much heating.